Hi, everybody, and welcome to week number 4 of MPH 510. This coming week, we are going to shift gears a little bit and focus on behavior and health promotion, which is an area that's kind of near and dear to my heart. My master's degree was in the area of health promotion, and my PhD was in population health sciences with my focus on social and behavioral health. But first, let's look back as this is the review preview video. And so this past week for your discussion board assignment, we looked at evidence-based interventions, evidence-based practices, and you were tasked with really kind of diving into the research and what support it has, peeling back the layers of exactly what's being done and who it is to serve. And then in my midweek post, I kind of took that same idea of really thinking deeply, but this case talking about the problem. A lot of times it's very tantalizing to jump quick to the solution and how do we want to change things, but it's just as important, if not more important, to get a handle on exactly what is the problem, because oftentimes the problem has a source that is underneath the surface, something a little bit deeper. And by tackling those parts, which can be sometimes tougher, you can have a better return in terms of the impact it ultimately has on people you're trying to serve. So those two pieces, talking about the problem, is the front end of things. The evidence-based intervention that you were tasked with writing about this week is sort of the action, the middle of the sandwich. But then on the other side is the outcome, and that's what we're focusing on for your assignment this week. Specifically, we're talking about return on investment. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about what that means and what it doesn't mean. Return on investment obviously is tied in, generally speaking, we're talking about monetary concerns. And that can rub people the wrong way. Our focus is on helping people, right? To make the world a better place. We're talking about people, not money. However, I do want to make it clear that oftentimes those two things aren't mutually exclusive. That is, focusing on the monetary outcome and helping people. And that's because, and we're talking about behavior, health promotion, prevention, because we're talking about that, as you are well aware, in virtually any instance, any medical concern or outcome, it is much more cost effective, both for the individual and the healthcare system, in the prevention area, or sometimes in the early stage area, than as we go on later on in the course of the disease or the condition. Take type 2 diabetes, for example. It is much more cost effective to prevent or work to control the risk factors of it than being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and then having to maintain the disease and do all that has to be done to prevent further progression of the disease for the rest of your life. So the return on investment, it's really tied in with that. It's the idea that we are trying to prevent disease incidents. And in doing so, the return on investment is less financial obligation on the part of the individual, but also on the healthcare system. And so kind of the crude way we can look at that is we often look at observed versus expected. So we can look at the trajectory of disease prevalence and say, okay, over the next 5 years, we expect X number of cases of this disease, this outcome. And then you can look at what's being done to prevent it and then compare what actually happens in the next 5 years to what we'd expect. That's a very kind of crude and raw way of return on investment, but it's that idea. The idea that we have our observed, we have our expected, and oftentimes the return on investment is the difference of that. And so we quantify it in terms of dollars, but in reality, it is ultimately about a healthier population and a benefit towards the people that we are trying to serve. And then the other part of this week, an assignment, and this is an optional assignment. It's introducing you to the idea of a logic model flowchart. So for your final project in this course, you are tasked with identifying a problem that you're interested in. You started writing about it in week 2, and you are going to put something into action. You're going to write about something that you want to put into action to help address the issue. The key part is the action thing. And in previous sessions, sometimes that action part is not quite given enough proper attention And I think it is because um, more needs to be done as we lead up to your final paper. So this large model flowchart again is optional. I'm trying it out this session to see if it does what I think it's. I use them all the time. I think it'll be beneficial. But basically, what a large model flowchart is, you can download a copy of it off Blackboard. I did a two-part YouTube video because it only lets you go so long. So it's two parts. And what a large model flowchart does is at the end it gives you a graphical representation of sort of kind of a linear pathway of things from the individual steps that you are going to take to address the problem to the outcomes that you want to see in the short, the medium, and the long term. And so what it allows you to do is it really forces you to think about things in terms of how one thing logically leads to another. Now, in reality, things don't always work as linearly as we want them to. Um, but the more work you do on the front end in terms of setting up that clear causal pathway, the better outcome that you'll have. And for your paper specifically, it does really force you to get in that frame of mind of what am I going to do and exactly how am I going to do it. And it's really about the action part of it. So not just telling me about the disease, telling your classmates about the disease, but what are you going to do about it? And this allows you the opportunity to really put it down on paper. Now, I put a due date for this of February 12th. So you can submit it whenever. But February 12th date is, I picked that because I think it'll give sufficient time for me to look at what you send, give you feedback, and then allow you to incorporate it into your final paper. So that's what I got for this week. There are several videos if you do choose to watch those on the Watch Model Flowchart. Um, and please keep up with your assignments and your quizzes. Everyone's doing a great job. I've really enjoyed reading what you have to share. And I hope that you guys have taken a real opportunity to read what people are posting and think about it and contribute and try to add to what collectively as a group are learning and will take with you going forward, not just in MPH 510, but beyond. So with that, have a great week. If you have any questions, please feel free to get a hold of me and take care.